Hello, I'm Tanya Petrovich. I'm the Business Innovation Manager at Dementia Australia. Today I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands on which I'm presenting from, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to their elders past and present and to our shared futures. Today I'm going to be sharing with you our journey in creating a tool called Talk with TED. So at Dementia Australia for the past 30 years we've been delivering dementia education to the sector, and it's been in that traditional format of a workshop where we share information and experiences with people who are working in the field. About 13 years ago, we decided to introduce virtual experiences into our workshops, and we created a multi-sensory environment in a facility here in Melbourne where people could stand in the shoes of the person living with dementia and walk through a virtual home and try to find the bathroom, for example, here where we have doors that all look the same, and which of those doors is the bathroom. We can also have mats on light-coloured floors that fall away and become a hole. We can introduce glare and other symptoms of dementia into the scenarios so that people understand the impact dementia has on the person. And through that experience, people then very quickly start to understand how the symptoms impact the person's ability to conduct activities of daily living, and how they, as the support worker, can better support them in their care needs. We found this approach to virtual experience delivering education very successful, and the virtual experience went on to win a number of awards: Microsoft Imagine Cup in 2015, some I Awards and some health awards in Australia. With that success, we decided to, or as the technology changed, we decided that we could take the experience into headsets and therefore deliver to all parts of Australia, not just in a room, in Melbourne, but we could go to the very far north of Queensland, for example, and deliver education through these headsets to give people the immersive experience. Enabling Eddie was released in 2016, and we found it really was incredibly impactful in changing attitude and empathy for the person living with dementia. We did an evaluation with Monash University and Swinburne University, and we found that the impact of the experience was improvement in the understanding of dementia care environments, so that people would go back to their workplace and actually think through how they could improve the environment for the person living with dementia. But also, and really importantly for us, people from a non-English speaking background found the experience even more beneficial in terms of understanding how the environment impacts on the person and what they could do to change it. We have since then actually sold the Eddie experience internationally, and it's now available in Canada, the Czech Republic, parts of Europe, Singapore and New Zealand. So from that experience, we went on to create a product called Dine with TED. And Dine with TED was still the virtual experience, but now we introduced avatars. And the purpose of this was that the worker could see the same experience through the eyes of Ted, the person living with dementia, and Priya, a care worker. I'll show you a little bit of a snippet so you understand the. So in this scenario, you're going to see in 2D Ted and Priya, and they're in a dining facility, and you'll see how they interact in a typical interaction in care facilities. But with the virtual experience, you would actually see the experience standing in the shoes of the care worker Priya initially, then you take the headset off and then you repeat it, but this time you'd be standing in Ted's shoes and seeing how that lands for Ted. So let me play it for you now.
Oh, good. At least Ted's here. About 20 minutes early, but it's fine. Oh, good, you're already awake. Ted and Mary.
Priya, Ted's a feed.
Yeah, sure. No worries. Okay. Smells good. Looks like chicken. Again. Here we go. Ted? Oh. Can someone get the blinds? Light's right in your eyes. Here we go. Ted, I want you to have a go. It's all set. Okay?
Where are you off to?
So I'll just stop that there, but I think you can see from this scenario that Priya is a very busy support worker trying to do her best, and Ted is clearly not engaged with his meal or having a good experience. So from that we can have very powerful conversations around how we make this scenario better and how we change it so that Ted is engaged at meal times and that has a better outcome than he currently is experiencing. In 2021, we decided that what the next stage of the development should be is something that would help us to improve the communication skills of care workers. So we had focused previously on them understanding the impact of dementia, creating empathy for the person living with dementia, but now it was putting that into practice to get better outcomes for the person living with dementia through good communication skills. So we needed to bring Ted to life. And what we have in this image is an actor in a motion capture suit, and his emotions are being captured and then translated to the avatar that's on the screen behind him. So Ted was now able to exhibit emotions. He has a life story. He was a teacher. He has a wife, Patricia. And so we actually brought Ted to life so that we could have a conversation with Ted and help workers better understand what it is to support people living with dementia. And it was a safe environment to learn because they could fail safely. In other words, there could be a poor outcome for Ted, but in that experience, they would learn from their errors and then they could repeat the experience and put in the more positive approach to communication. So we created a scenario where Ted is sitting in his room, be that in his home or in a care facility, and he is needing to get ready to have a shower to go out with his wife. And you as the care worker need to engage with Ted and have him agree to having a shower. And there are certain hurdles that you need to achieve in order to have success. The scenario is built on 5 hurdles of success, or to reach success. The first one is you need to use Ted's name. You need to introduce who you are and your role. You need to listen to Ted's emotional cues and validate those. You need to engage with Ted's story, life story, and also you need to offer Ted a choice in having a shower or not. At the end of that conversation, you receive a report card and you'll either get everything's well done and Ted has agreed to have a shower, or you may have not met all of the hurdles, in which case Ted has not agreed to the shower, and indeed Ted might be quite upset and you've failed. And then you can have, after some education around what are good communication skills, you can have another opportunity to talk with Ted to have him agree to the shower. In 2024, we conducted a trial using Talk with Ted. We had 2 providers, one public provider and one private provider with 100 staff, 50 staff from each residential facility. And we had 50 staff do online learning, which we call traditional online learning, and it was called Communicating in a Person-Centered Way, not very interactive medium. Then the other 50 did the Talk with Ted experience. And then we interviewed the staff at 9 weeks and again at 16 weeks. So in terms of the user experience of that piece of technology, what we found was that Talk with Ted was superior in all of the user experience parameters, but statistically so for efficiency, dependability and novelty, meaning that it was easy to use, it was novel, and they found it interesting and exciting to use. But I think the most significant finding was the change of practice that followed the training. And so we interviewed 16 people who did the traditional online learning and 19 people who had completed Talk with Ted. The people who had completed the traditional training, 5 of the 16 could not remember anything at all around the training. 9 didn't perceive an improvement after their training and were unable to really provide any specific examples of what they had learnt. Only 2 people could provide specific examples of what they had learnt and how they have changed their practice because of it, so 2 of the 16. Whereas for the Talk with Ted experience, only 1 person had a negative experience, and it was actually to do with the technology issues and connecting with the experience. But the vast majority, 15 out of the 19, talked about how the experience, well, they remembered it all, they could recall what they learnt, and they also talked about how they had taken that experience and put it into their daily practice, which is exactly what we're after. We're wanting to see practice change because of this type of education. I'd like to conclude by showing you a video that illustrates the way in which TED is used by a support worker, or indeed anyone who would like to improve their communication skills with the person living with dementia. So this is TED in action.
Dementia Australia, along with Deakin University's Applied Artificial Intelligence Institute, are proud to introduce TED. TED is a virtual character that is living with dementia. You can have a conversation with Ted and he will respond just like a person with dementia would, showing signs of memory loss, confusion, and a range of emotions. We're really excited to show you the first version of Talking with Ted.
G'day, Ted.
It's nice that you are here.
How are you going today?
You haven't even introduced yourself.
My name's Andy. Shall we go and have a shower?
Hello, Andy. Excuse me. What do you do again? I don't just let anyone come in and help me.
To bring Ted to life and make the conversation as realistic as possible, we used a range of technologies, such as a speech-to-text engine, a natural language engine, and a text-to-speech engine. We also partnered with Fika Entertainment to use their real-time production pipeline to capture motion data that represents the movement of a person living with dementia. The key aim of this project is to improve the quality of care by teaching carers how to empathise with people living with dementia. Therefore, learning how to build rapport is central to having a positive and productive conversation with Ted.
How are you feeling today?
I was awake, all night. I was thinking about Patricia.
Who's Patricia?
Patricia is my wife.
The results from this trial suggest that the impact of learning through practice is higher than when compared to traditional methods such as classroom or online learning. We look forward to more carers experiencing talking with TED for themselves in the not too distant future.
Thank you for watching. See you next time.
And that video reminds me to acknowledge Deakin University, who have been our partners in many of the projects that I've discussed today, and particularly the Applied Artificial Intelligence Institute, which have been incredibly supportive of our work over those years. So thank you for listening. If there is anything more you would like to know about the products I've described today, you can get in touch with myself or Dementia Australia through dementia.org.au, and you're very welcome. We're happy to share information. Thank you.